I hate how it always does this every single time. There we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Got the mic going. Thank you guys all so much for stopping by. As always, my name is Eli. Tuesdays and Thursdays are our Q&A session days. If you want to partake and have any of your questions answered, all you have to do is ask. Pretty simple. If you're wondering why we titled the video to that of our pre-recorded videos like we do on Mondays and Wednesdays, it's typically because we like to have discussions about whatever Mondays or Wednesdays video topic was, but that doesn't mean you have to ask questions pertaining to that. It's just usually the general topic of discussion. But now, before we jump into it, weekly giveaways. All you have to do to enter, leave a like, comment down below, subscribe, and if you want to be a part of the awesome community that we have, links are down in the description below, especially for joining the Discord. But let's give a couple of shout outs to those people that are here right now so far. I actually need to pull it up on my side of the screen. Give me 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize. Gotta go to the control center. Also, don't want to jinx it, but since I switched from a hard drive to an SSD, I have had nothing but excellent connection, so shout out to that. But for those that are here, we've got Tom Piz, we've got DJ Mock, we've got Tori, we've got Spencer, Nostalgianomics, what's up, my guy? Tommy's Top Picks, Patricia, what's up? Tyrone, Colemanian, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, Shadowless Tony, Roger That, Jim Wilson, Department Store, Mr. Mime, Trainer Mason, Pika Pika, No Man, Pokey Nufu, Bolt, and Alex. All right, there we go. Oh, and a boss made it. Hey, what's up, Mr. Abbas? Always good to see you. All right, I think now that should be all the introductions, but thank you guys all once again, as always, for stopping by. Let's have a good Thursday. One small piece of note, first and foremost, I apologize for starting a little bit later, but the game plan is going to be, I have an appointment at 3:30 my time, so it should be 2:30 Pacific Standard Time, so I'm going to cut it short by about 15 minutes. Do apologize for that, but for the most part, I mean, we're still going to be going for well over an hour and a half, so we should have plenty of time to discuss everything. But let's see what people have to say so far. Nostalgianomics says, no, Eli, I will absolutely keep investing in Pokemon. You can't stop me. Hey, I can't stop anyone, man. Of course, it's an addiction. It's a love. We all have it, and I don't blame you. Prices are way too high of an entry point. I definitely can agree with that partially. Now is the time to start investing in the Pokemons, right? Well, if you watched the video that I discussed yesterday, I might disagree with that. Eli, I'm doing a group opening in April. What booster box should I get? I'm thinking of Roaring Skies, but what else should I grab? Honestly, Tyrone, one of my favorite booster boxes, if you're doing a group opening of like expensive or not, depends on what your price range is. But for me personally, if you're going in the price range of Roaring Skies, I would personally swap that out for Cosmic Eclipse, just because I absolutely love opening Cosmic Eclipse. I think it's such a fun set to open, and it should be around the same price range. But if you have a certain price range, please let me know, and I would love to give you some other answers, because questions like that are super fun. Probably not a bad time to grab certain singles. Oh yeah, no, there's definitely some single opportunities. You just have to check. I mean, as I've said before, man, there's opportunities in the market. There's always going to be some. They're just few and far between. It's not like before where everything's an opportunity, right? So you just kind of got to be, doing your due diligence or being patient and waiting for the big opportunities, the grandioses, right? Roger That says, sup Eli, what do you think of the surprise Evolving Skies booster box drop by PC this morning? Wow, that's interesting. Did not know that. Did not know that they did a PC Evolving Skies drop. Do I think much of it? Well, historically, from what we have seen when a booster box drop is done on the PC, sadly, it doesn't really have any sort of implications for actual reprints. From what I've seen so far, it really just has more to do with them finding some backstock inventory in their warehouse. But Jim, you says, I sent you a message on Discord, just FYI. You did, Jim. I might not have gotten it. You want to send it again? I don't know what it's pertaining to, but I don't think I got it. Make sure you sent it to the right me as well. Pokemon Department Store says T as always. What's up, fellow degenerates? Hey, y'all, just dropping to give support. I gotta give the like. Appreciate you as always, Pika Pika. Love the Discord group. Appreciate that, Patricia. Alrighty. Where are we next? What are your thoughts on? Already answered that question. What's up? $4.50 a pack average for Crown Zenith. Worth it for sure, right? I guess my question is, what do you kind of mean when you ask that general question? Are you saying, is it a good deal to buy Crown Zenith packs at $4.50? Or what do you specifically mean by that? SSD is where it's at. I can hit the power button and open a browser window in like 11 seconds with login. Yeah, to think that I was on hard drive this entire time and SSD completely fixed everything. It's insane, man. Like, I went from my load up times on my computer, like for me to like actually getting everything booted up and loaded, like 5 to 10 minutes. I would literally start up my computer. It would take about a minute or two to load. And then I would have to wait another 5 to 10 minutes before I could like officially get everything rolling. And I kid you not, I did that. And then I got the SSD and it took 10 seconds for it to load the screen. And then about another 10 seconds to 15 seconds for me to start booting everything up immediately. So it changed everything like drastically, so drastically. And my connection as well has been nothing but excellent. Like, it's insane how much smoother everything runs. It's awesome. Any info on Evolving Skies getting a reprint? No info, sadly. With 2023 1099K dropping to 600, think there will be a need for accounting firms with a focus on small Pokemon businesses. I mean, it's hard for me honestly to say when it comes to reporting your taxes in that way. I know obviously you're an accountant, so you're asking that question, but I would have to say when it comes to I mean, isn't that so dumb that you report a $600 profit, then they're like, all right, you're gonna have to file taxes on that. Ugh, that's so dumb. That's so dumb, man. I mean, it's hard because you have to ask yourself, if you're reporting only $600, remind me if it's gross or net. I think it's just gross profit. That you're now saying, okay, well, is it worth getting an accountant at that point? Of course not. It's not worth getting an accountant at that point, right? Obviously, depending upon what job you're doing, you might already have an accountant or a tax specialist, but it's just kind of dumb that they're making it that way, you know? Oh my God, that's so ridiculous. But, I mean, obviously, it's completely different if this is a side hustle versus a full-time business, but you also have to kind of counteract and balance out what the best time spent and money accumulated is when it comes to Pokemon. And I can understand that argument, kind of like with crypto. A lot of people, when they talk about hodling on why they never sold, they're like, yeah, sure, you know, from an entry-level position, I might be missing out on, you know, the general just time costs, but I'm not paying taxes on it by flipping consistently because that's just reporting a profit. But at the same time, when it comes to having a tax specialist in that regard, as long as you're continually reinvesting it in cost of goods, then it shouldn't be an issue. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, but anyway, this is all a tax specialist question. So yeah, I 100% agree with you. I do think there is some sentiment for it. You just got to ask yourself, how much is that really going to cost if you're only, you know, making a certain amount, right? Which that's why $600 is such a stupid line. I think $450 is pretty decent for CZ. Granted, plenty of supply will be coming through the other boxes that will come out throughout the year. God, that's such a hard question to ask. Is $450 a good deal? I mean, how many? All right, so yeah, I mean, I guess I would say it's a good deal in theory. If you're talking about the fact that you're going off of the mini tins general value, then yeah, that's a good price. It's just wild in my mind to think about that being a good deal. Although I agree with you, it is a good deal. It is. Don't get me wrong. $4.50 for Crown Zenith pack is a good deal. It's just wild to think that that's the point we've gotten to, right? I just want to say, what's up? What's up, Nate? It's been a while. Yeah, it's definitely been a while. Caught alive and watching the replays. Well, glad to see you stop by. Good deal and not much risk for Crown Zenith packs at $4.50. Yeah, like I said, man, good deal. It just feels weird to say $4.50 a pack for Crown Zenith is a good deal. Oh, that hurts the heart, even though it's true. Temp check. Took a temp check with SV and taking a break makes sense. Going very minimal on this set, then back all in on 151. MM says, yeah, I'll be interested to see what 151 is going to entail. I'm excited for it. I have high hopes for it because if you're telling me that they're going to raise MSRP prices, they're going to have something to get people hyped up about if they're going to be paying a higher price. Yeah, that's what I thought, man. I thought it was just income. Isn't that so silly? Any opportunities on reselling CZ Charizard mini tins? Crown Zenith Charizard mini tins. I don't know. I mean, it obviously comes down to entry point. That's a huge factor you have to take into consideration. What's up, Poke Collector Jay? Good to see you as always, brother. Always appreciate you stopping by. Zizo says, yo, what are some relevant or important Pokemon trends you've noticed in the past couple of years? Well, let me ask you this, ZZ. Are you talking about trends in terms of how people are acting or trends in terms of how Pokemon items themselves are acting? Because there is a lot of different types of trends I've noticed, but it really just comes down to what specifically I am looking at. Am I looking at human tendencies or am I looking at generally just Pokemon prices and actions in general? Also super cool to hear about your past with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Yeah, no, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was a large portion of my life and I love it, man. I love the whole fighting scene. I think it's awesome. For Mind French, they could easily roll back the 600 1099 again. They rolled it back this December of this year and can see something similar to this year. Well, I know that there was supposed to be a large amount of federal funding for the IRS that got blocked in Congress. I assume it was probably in the Senate, but it could have been in the House. I have no clue. I wasn't following it that closely, but I mean, just... I won't get into it, but it's just annoying. Poke Collector J says, make an LLC easy peasy. I mean, that's definitely one way to do it. I mean, you make an LLC reported as business expenses, like I mentioned before. I mean, that's the thing, like I said before, if you're talking about that $600 line, it's at that point where first and foremost, it's such a bad line to begin with. I think it should be like $3,000 or $5,000, somewhere around that point, because if you're going to report it, at that point, you can probably self-teach yourself to self-teach yourself. You can probably just teach yourself at that point how to file properly, but at the same exact time, I'm assuming most people are not really at that $600 line, right? Most people are probably at that higher point, which is where it becomes more realistic to hire a tax specialist depending upon how much it costs you. Gosh, man, I don't know, man. It's so hard to say. It's so hard to say because the situation is so different, and I know how much my accountant charges me, right? Which I don't know how much of a realistic price point that is for most people, right? Because if your accountant charges you like $1,000 and you're grossing over $100,000 a year, then you're like, oh, that's nothing, right? But if your accountant's charging you $1,000 and you're only doing $5,000, then that's super expensive, right? So it's really hard for me to say, you know. My budget is about 2K, can go a little above if needed, thinking Ancient Origin, Roaring Skies, 1+ more, also opening just to buy random ETBs or blisters. So okay, so you're wanting it to be like a multiple booster box thing, so you don't want it to be just be one super expensive booster box. Yeah, Koga, asking the right questions here. Sorry. No Steam Siege? What the heck, Koga? This guy's a poser, am I right? Tyrone over here not even getting some Steam Siege booster boxes. What a freaking joke, man. What a freaking goober. Yeah, Steam Siege. Changed my mind, freaking poser. I'm just kidding. All right, let's look at booster boxes. Obviously, this is going off a TCG player, so you're probably going to be able to find it cheaper for most places. But if we are saying rough estimate, you're going to be, we'll do high to low. Make it easy for us. All right, if you are going Cosmic Eclipse, no way. That's insane. Cosmic is selling for that much. Wild. $650 was the last time it sold. I mean, $600 is definitely around the right price point, but gosh dang it. Not $730. That's insane to think. But all right, so if we're going Roaring Skies, you're looking at roughly around $500. That sounds about right. Then you're thinking Ancient Origin, which is probably going to cost you in the ballpark of $800 to $900 is what I'm going to guess. I don't know what it is on TCG Player. Let's see. I mean, there's no way, right? Let's go on eBay and see what Ancient Origin booster boxes are selling for. Am I out of touch? Have they really gone to above $1,000 per booster box? There's no way. There's no way, right? Okay, thank God. $924. Don't know who's paying that much for that one, but $879. All right, so it is still around the $900 price point. Whew, which is wild to think that I am sighing over that, or a breath of relief, I guess. But yeah, if you're saying you're paying $900 for Ancient Origin, Roaring Skies booster box, you're probably looking to pay around $500, right? That puts you at $1,400, which leaves you with about $600. Which means if you were to go for a Cosmic Eclipse booster box, you should be able to get it roughly around $600. Which if you do, that'll put you right around, if not slightly above, that $2,000 price point. If you're going to try like a trio. Our Crown Zenith ETB is going to reprint. Cases are selling for $700 now. No clue, man. I wish I could tell you, but we have zero information on that. Eli, Crown Zenith PC ETBs have been out of stock for 20 days now. Are we doomed? I would not call it doomed yet. Historically speaking, as we've discussed before, Pokemon Center tends to throw back in stock on newly printed sets not too long after the initial release. Now, is this longer than anticipated? Yes, but I don't think the Pokemon Company is not anticipating the demand for this set and is not at some point going to add it. Kadabra will be back. Yes, I know. That's exciting for 151. Sia Games. Hello, chat. Hey, Eli. Hey, what's up, Sia? Good to see you. As always, stopping by. $600 rule is crazy. Going to have a lot of people angry. Yeah, I mean, seriously. I mean, you should be reporting taxes anyway, so it's really no difference. Now they're just making you do it. I mean, but here's the deal, though, Jim. You have to understand that when it comes to reporting, it's one thing if it's like, hey, so I am at my business that I work for, right? And you work as, I don't know, let's say you work in IT and you're having to file your taxes for IT. Totally makes sense, right? It's all in one place. It's another thing if, hey, I wanted to sell my Pokemon card collection off that I have held on for the longest time, and I am trying to sell it all online on TCG Player and eBay. Oh, look, I sold it for $600. And now you're going to have to pay taxes on that. Like, it's one thing if it's like, okay, like this is a consistent side hustle business. It's another thing if someone just has something they sell on Craigslist or on a Facebook Marketplace group, and now they're going to have the headache of reporting that. In my personal opinion, it makes sense to me why they're doing this, and it's because I purposely think that they're doing this to try and get a lot of small businesses and a lot of middle-class individuals trapped into paying more on taxes, because a lot of people are going to miss this. Because if they, which, you know, it sounds like I said before, last time I checked, they didn't pass the bill for additional funding, but IRS is hopefully not going to ramp up their general audits, but it seems as if they are going to do that. It is for the purpose of getting those individuals that are caught in the middle of it, right? If you are someone that can afford a tax professional, then obviously you typically don't have to worry about as long as they're competent. But if you are someone that's in that middle to lower class that is either not making enough where it makes sense to get a tax professional, or you're not someone that is aware of the tax code or aware of needing to get a tax professional, you're going to more than likely get caught unless you have the wherewithal to self-teach yourself. And I think that's kind of the screwed up part about this all is, as per usual, this is going to hurt those in the middle to lower class, which is just depressing. But yeah, I won't get too far into it outside of that. But let's add an accounting Patreon tier. Poké Collector J. Eli is my accountant. I am no good with numbers. Get the heck out of here, Collector J. This man's teaching me stuff I've never learned before, and he's over here like acting like I'm his accountant, over here being humble. Get out of here, man. I saw Hidden Fates ETB on eBay for 105 shipping, but it's from a brand new seller, worth the risk. Roma Sheet said it good. Too good to be true, waste of time. 100% agree. Listening to Eli do math sounds like summoning demons. That's funny. Any Steam Siege I'll save for my kids to open in 10 years. Wow, what a freaking cop-out. What a lame-o, man. You've got 5 boxes of Steam Siege saved so far? Tyrone, you're going to open in the Discord chat? That's a good question. Better product out there than to get a booster box equivalent of Cosmic for less than $600. I mean, well, that's the thing, Poké Collector J. You have to ask what his incentives are on opening, right? Because if he's opening Ancient Origins, I love Ancient Origins as a set, but opening a booster box that's $900 where you're going to be losing a ton of money kind of sucks. But at the end of the day, they're not doing it from a logistical perspective on what makes the most financial sense. They're doing it because it's fun, right? And Ancient Origins is a fun set. It's got some really awesome pulls. So for me, when I think of, hey, if money's not an object, I'm just trying to open some high-end Pokemon product, what's a fun one to open? Cosmic Eclipse was one of the first ones that came up to mind. So, because obviously at that point, if you're like, oh, you've got $2,000, what makes the most logistical sense? Okay, you go buy loose packs from, you know, X, Y, and Z set for dirt cheap, but then that takes away the fun of it, you know? But that's kind of what I'm assuming his intentions are for that. Targeted CZ ETBs for 55. I'm honestly not a fan of that price point. There's a difference between selling to fund your collection and selling for income. Yeah, but here's the deal, Poké Department Store. Do they care? Like, I understand there is a difference between that, but if you get audited by the IRS and you explain that to them, I don't think they're going to care. I think they're going to penalize you regardless. I don't know. I think it'd be hard to argue. Would you take 20 to 25% profit after fees on 15 PC ETBs to get capital ready for a potential restock? I mean, what was your entry point, John? Was it MSRP? Because if you're saying to yourself, $65, right? I mean, let's go and just see on TCG Player, right? Poké Collector J is, hold on, I will answer that, or I'll respond to that question in a second. I need to go to the Crown Zenith. I always get ahead of myself. And then I always get behind, and then, okay, cool. So Crown Zenith ETBs, right? It looks as if roughly around 112 is the market price, right? So if you're saying 112 is the current market price, we'll say estimated 85% is roughly how much you're going to be making. And then it's going to cost you roughly around, to ship one of them, it's going to cost you roughly around, I want to say $12 is what we'll say. So 83 bucks, right? That's probably what it's going to be. You say 65 divided by 83.2 minus 100. So that's going to put you at roughly around, gosh dang it, Eli. $22. Yeah, no, that's about right, man. That's about right. Basically, you're saying, do I sell market and, you know, capital ready for potential restocks? Yep, no, I think that's the right play, John, honestly. It costs you $8 to ship? Nice. Well, obviously it depends on location of where you're shipping to, but I mean, if we're saying just as a general average across the board, so 83.2, let's add $4 more to that, so 87, then 60, 87.2, 87.2 equals 74. Yeah, so roughly around 26%. Yeah, man. Should I rip a LO booster box? Oh god. LO is a tough one, man. I've had such terrible pull rate experience. I actually opened some LO boosters, not booster box, I wish. I actually opened some loose LO packs last night for the first time in a while. Like, it's been a long time since I've opened Pokemon, and I was like, yeah, I'll open some. I have some laying around. Holy crap, it was rough. And I was like, gosh dang it, man, what is with it's Lost Origin and Brilliant Star just hate me. So justifying ripping a booster box, which versus loose packs, that's even harder justification, you know. Barter tax is ridiculous. I'd buy 36 Arceus collection boxes, 1 booster box, 2 BBs, or BRSs, 1 BB, a CR. But that's the thing, man, is you have to ask the question, Collector J, because although I 100% agree with you, it's way more efficient to do it that way. Is that what Tyrone wants to do? Because it sounds like he's wanting to do booster boxes only. Tyrone, is that true? Are you wanting to do booster boxes only, or are you wanting to do loose packs? Because obviously if you're wanting to do loose product and break it down, then we can totally break it down in a completely different way. But I kind of figured you're just doing booster boxes. Any progression on additional spots being added to wholesale tier? Like I said in the last announcement on Tuesday's stream, basically how I'm going to do it is either whichever comes first when we get word of pre-orders being ready to be taken for 151. So whenever that becomes available, I will open additional slots, or if we get a large restock for Pokemon product. Whichever comes first, then I will add additional slots to the program. I think an actual Pokemon tax video would go hard. Tax video for Pokemon? I mean, it could go hard. The question obviously is how many people would watch it, you know? It's always the worst feeling when you make a video that it feels like it's just super helpful and informative to people, and then it ends up being like less than 1,000 people watch it. My Walmart hat for 50, first time I've seen Walmart even have CZ, and that was weak. 50 is not a bad price. Dang, I missed the first half hour of the stream. What have we covered so far? Pokemon taxes. And that's kind of been the main topic of the session, I would say. What do you think about sealed 144 PC sleeved booster packs? Do you think they compete with booster boxes? PC. Am I dumb? What is PC? What set is that? Or are you just asking pieces when you say 144? I think you just mean pieces. Do I think they compete? Oh yeah, 100% they compete. They go hard. I've said this before, I'll say it again. I understand that you have minimums with booster boxes, which is what makes them enticing, but you tend to also have like maximums when it comes to booster boxes. Like if I go and open a 144 count of sleeve boosters, there's no limit to the amount of alternate arts I could hypothetically pull. Of course, there's no minimum to the amount I can pull, but statistically speaking, I would like to argue that you're more than likely going to have a higher probability of pulling a big hitter with just random loose packs because of it. Bummer, Amazon had the Arceus box most recently a week ago for 25. It's higher now. Dang, that's a bummer. That would have been a great pickup. You know, recent Walgreens packs with Cosmic Eclipse and Evolving Skies. What's going on with the packs from different era? Did they reprint CE repacks and later on? So there was supposed to be a reprint for Cosmic Eclipse, but it got canceled during COVID. So back at the end of 2020, there was a reprint for Unbroken Bonds. There was a reprint for Unified Minds, and then Cosmic was supposed to be a part of that, and then Hidden Fates, obviously. So they basically did one quote-unquote decent-sized reprint for the back end of Sun and Moon at the end of 2020, right before they were about to go out of rotation, and then that was kind of it. So everything at the back end got reprinted except for Cosmic because of the circumstances with COVID. An easy fix for the 600 1099 would be to report all eBay purchases to hopefully offset any profits, as long as you can prove you spent that. But that's the thing, is how would you go about doing that, right? That's the thing, and that's where it's tough, because I can sit here and say from like because I'm obviously not an accountant, right? I am 100% not a tax specialist, right? Do I understand like the very bare minimum of the tax code and understand when it comes to general write-offs and general cost of goods sold? Yeah, of course, I understand that. But when it comes down to offsetting a lot of my general expenses and going through the nitty-gritty of that all, I could probably self-teach myself, but at this point right now, I'm so busy, it just makes more sense for me to hire a tax specialist. And so I wouldn't be one that would be good enough to fully break down how to do that, because that's just not what I do for a living. I pay someone to do that for me, but I'm aware of what they're doing to help save me money, I've heard people say that booster box minimum thing is a myth. I guess you disagree. Yes, I very much disagree. I have never opened a booster box that hasn't at least gotten me a minimum of full art. That's the worst I've ever gotten. Never ever opened it where I haven't at least gotten a full art. Do I think that there's a possibility of that happening? Yes, but I think that's more than likely an error box, because there's also been times where you have booster boxes that have 5 alternate arts or 3 alternate arts, and I'm like, that's insane, I've never seen that before, and I think that's also an error box. But if you look at general averages, it's full art rainbow gold. That's kind of it. You usually always get at least one of those from my personal experience. And I've opened, as you guys are aware, thousands upon thousands of Pokemon product. Well over 10,000 Pokemon packs in my life. Any tips on not being addicted to opening Pokemon packs? Yikes, buddy. Straight jacket. Lock yourself in a white padded room. No, I'm just kidding. It's hard, man. I mean, obviously, when it comes to Pokemon product, if you are someone that is really addicted to opening, because obviously there's a form of gambling involved that can be quite fun for people, you're gonna have to just learn to lock away the keys. Lock it up and throw away the keys. That's the discipline you're gonna have to develop for yourself. I wish I could give you some helpful tips, because as someone who collects Pokemon, I thankfully I've always had that kind of discipline, to be able to not open the product. Every so often I do give in to my urges, but it's one of those things where it's very little of detriment when it comes to opening product, right? I'll be sitting on a couple thousand Pokemon packs and I'll open a booster box. It's not going to hurt me because I still have another 100 booster boxes I'm sitting on, right? Or whatever hypothetical scenario we're talking about. It's very minimal when it comes to that, but for most people, when it comes to their situation, the buck doesn't stop at one. And that's the problem. You got to be able to learn how to walk away. Thanks, man. Great answer as always. Did we talk about Pokemon Center ES boosters this morning? Yes, we did. I don't find it conclusive because, as we've seen historically before, it doesn't really mean anything. Well, and if you get audited, you need to be able to explain your expense to income and have a conservative breakdown. Yep, exactly. And that's... yeah, it's dumb. Catch 'em All Collectibles has a tax video from last week. Hey, there you go. What's up, John? Hey, what's up? Tuning in during work. Good to see you as always, brother. Nathaniel's also here. I know you have not opened CZ, but what are a few products you have been opening up? So I opened up last night. This was the first time I'd opened up Pokemon product in probably a couple of months now for myself. I opened 34 Lost Origin, just regular packs, and then I opened 20 Silver Tempest, and I got wrecked. It was a bad experience. I wanted to open more packs, but I had to walk away knowing that, hey, I got wrecked. This sucks. better luck next time. So, but yeah, that's what I've opened most recently. I did about a month ago open a CUPC with a buddy of mine, but it was his CUPC, so I don't know if I necessarily count that. But prior to that, I honestly can't remember the last time I opened product. I would say probably Silver Tempest when that set came out. I might have had an Astral Radiance booster box I opened shortly after Silver Tempest came out. Something around December, I would have to say, but yeah, man, it's like once a month or once every other month is where I am now, which it's kind of a bummer, but it's just where I am. It's just where I am at this moment in time. Pokemart USA. So what if I had been selling product on Facebook for cash and made a mouse slip when I ended the listing with not sold? Thoughts? Asking for a friend. Hard to say, man. I've never had a mouse slip where I said it wasn't sold, right? And you sold it for cash. I mean, I doubt, I could be wrong, but I doubt the IRS is going to go and track your listing on Facebook and try and find if you had the cash for it or not. I mean, when it comes to cash, as my tax specialist told me, I am required by law to tell you to report your cash as general income. With that being said, you do what you want, but that is what I'm legally required to tell you. And you can kind of take away what you want from that. So to answer your question, when it comes to cash, legally, that is what you're required to do. But, you know, you kind of run with that however you want to run with it. Anyone seen TC Gaming open 20 packs of Brilliant Star and hit Trainer Gallery in every pack? That sounds crazy. Yeah, that's insane. Teach us self-control for Pokemon. I mean, that's a tough one. I mean, you want to talk about rewiring people and how to teach people self-control. That's a tough one. For myself, it's difficult. So like I have a buddy, for example, right, who he's not the best when it comes to money. And I've most recently been sitting down and I've been trying to help him break down his expenses and trying to just be more disciplined when it comes to spending. Obviously, from, you know, helping him out, he's gotten better when it comes to general spending habits and expenses. However, there's still habits that he has that he needs to break, right? And I think a lot of that also stems from people having certain addictions, right? Like for myself, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't drink coffee, I don't drink soda, I don't spend frivolously. I bought a video game for the first time in 2 or 3 years. It was Harry Potter, because I was like, oh cool, Harry Potter. In terms of game consoles, my Xbox One, I still have the original Xbox One from I was 17 years old when I got it, so it's 7 years old. Like I got a PC a couple years back, like 3 years ago, but I got it on discount and was able to write it off as a business expense. So like when it comes to my general like discipline for purchasing, I'm like, it better be Black Friday or I better be able to write it off while it's also being discounted. Like I am like the most frugal of frugal when it comes to making that kind of decision. Where I splurge a little bit is when it comes to eating out at times, but even then I can write it off as a business expense because most of the time it's, hey, it's been a long work day, I don't want to cook food at home, let's just go out and have a business meal instead, and I can just write that off, right? But that's just very that's very circumstantial for myself, right? It's not something everyone else can be able to do. So when it's to say that, hey, let's have people learn to be like Eli, it's hard because that's just how I was. That's just how I am. No one taught me, like people taught me to be smart with my money and save, but no one taught me to be super hyper aggressive when it comes to my savings, right? And that's something that was just, you know, it just was something I had, right? Kind of like my fiance. My fiance, for example, her parents are not the best when it comes to spending money, but she, for the most part, she's pretty good when it comes to, you know, handling money. Is she like me? No, not at all. I'm an extreme variable, but she's, compared to most Americans, very, very good, right? Never pays interest when it comes to paying off her credit card, always pays on time, typically has a 0% balance on how much her debt to income ratio is. Like it's just one of those things where it's just embedded in some people, and maybe there is factors having to do with environments that I'm not taking into account because it's subconscious, but I feel like it's something that for you as an individual, you're going to have to find a way to be able to imprint that upon yourself, to be able to have that general discipline when it comes to spending money wisely and not opening Pokemon, and have the general discipline to be able to do that, Very financial advice to you, Book Performance. Yep. For legal reasons. That's how I'm answering that question. I've only Babe Cake says I've only opened 3 packs of CC. I need to be saving them dollar bills, but I did get a GG Samurai. Hey, there you go. That's sweet. ZZ says appreciate it, bro. Yeah, of course. Black and Bluefin says try watching unboxing videos of product you bought and pretend that's what you would have gotten. Hey, living vicariously. That's a good one. LMAO, how can I support you if you don't have mystery packs, Eli? Hey, Duke, you can always feel free to donate. I shamelessly accept donations through YouTube. So that's how you can support me. But you don't have to, brother. You don't have to. Yeah, I recently got rid of mystery packs. We sold out of them. I should be adding some more here hopefully soon. I'll make an announcement for that. But basically, to kind of give you guys a rundown, I am in the process of hiring on an employee. That should hopefully happen sometime end of March, early April. When that does happen, I will have more time freed up to focus on adding listings to the website, doing more mystery related product, and hopefully by that point I will be back to my regular break schedule. Like Scarlet and Violet should hopefully we should do a break for that. So I'm wanting to free up some more time by having an employee that can help me work with the wholesale program, and then just free up my time to be able to work on more projects and offer more cool things for you guys. The only tip for pack addition is to simply get bored with it. Well, I hope not. It just comes to being disciplined. More people aren't. Yep, that's crazy. You know what's crazy? And people are going to get... All right, so here's the deal, man. Either I'm about to enrage a bunch of people, or hopefully people are going to agree with me on this. But I'm about to say something that might tilt the crap out of people. I was watching a video the other day, and this video I watched was a short video that an individual made where it was saying how to properly budget living off of $3,000 a month. And he broke down general expenses for $2,100, and it was called the 70-20-10 rule. And I thought it was cool. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. 70% of general expenses, right? So rent, utilities, all that kind of stuff. 70% of that, of the $3,000 he made on a monthly basis, went to that. 20% went to general, just, hey, let's eat out. Hey, let's go buy a video game this month. Whatever, right? 20% of that, so $600 went to that. 10% went to saving. So they saved on average $300 a month. I was like, that's kind of a cool concept, right? Reading the comments, it was all $2,100 a month. That's crazy. Where are you getting your expenses numbers for only $2,100 a month? That's insane. Blah, 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 blah. I could never, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, all it was just hate of people saying how $2,100 a month for like expenses is unrealistic. And I was like, that's wild to me that people think $2,100 a month. I'm like, unless you're living in like New York or California or like Chicago or like in the city, $2,100 a month for general expenses seems absurd to me to not be able to hit that, right? Obviously, it's one thing if you're like a single parent with kids. Like, don't get me wrong, but if you're a single individual, right? You live by yourself, $2,100 should be extremely feasible from my personal opinion, right? And I have a buddy who's planning on moving down to Arizona, and I budgeted out everything for him because I'm just that kind of person when it comes to helping out my friends with finances. And we budgeted it out that his general expenses were at the most were going to cost him $2,000 a month. And that's living in a 1 bedroom, 1 bath apartment that's going to cost him $14.50 a month, his general car expense, his general phone bill, his general utilities, his general food and everything, right? Like that was the number that we came up with. And I was like, yeah, dude, like $2,000 should realistically be your worst case scenario. And then you've got about another $1,000 to kind of spend on savings or luxuriously, however you want to do. So I recommend spending more on savings, whatever that kind of balance looks like for you. So, and that's living in an area right now, like in Arizona, where the average median household cost within the area to buy is roughly around $600,000 to $700,000. Can you find homes for $455,000? You can, but that's like low end homes, right? Like average is really $650,000 if you're talking about like a family home. So it's wild to me because it's not like it's this cheap podunk area where we're out in the middle of the Midwest and no one's wanting to live there, right? Like this ain't frickin' Minnesota in the blizzard where you can go get 20 acres for $180,000. Like that ain't it, man. Like this is 20 minutes outside of Phoenix in an area that I don't know. And the thing is too, like $1,450 like sounds a lot to me for an expense. Don't get me wrong, like that's a lot for someone to pay as an individual on a monthly basis. Like I think that's expensive. But to say that with a $3,000 income that you couldn't at least afford that, because it just blew my mind, right? But when you realize that like so many individuals, especially around my age, are living so frivolously in terms of how much they're spending on cars and constantly eating out and just lavish things, it's wild. It is wild to think about, right? And I don't know. Sorry, I just went on a rant there. I apologize. But yeah, I was just, it just blows my mind. Did you know that the average American, I think this number has gone down, but like as of like 5 or 6 years ago, the average American doesn't open a savings account until they're in their mid to late 30s. Isn't that wild to think about? Because most people are under the impression that Social Security is actually a program that's going to help set them up for retirement. Isn't that sad how misinformed most people are when it comes to finances? It's just so depressing. But anyway, I digress. You haven't played Elden Ring. No, I haven't played Elden Ring. The only reason why, I mean, in terms of video games, you want to talk about the video games that I've bought in the past 2 or 3 years. So it's been Hogwarts Legacy. I bought that. And then I bought the like new Lego Star Wars game like a long time ago. And then I bought Sword and Shield. And I think those are the 3 games I've bought in the last 2 to 3 years. And that's kind of it. I mean, if I think about the games I play, right? It's like, okay, I played Call of Duty, Warzone, which is free. I play Overwatch, which is free. Play Skyrim, which I bought like 10 years ago. I play Sea of Thieves occasionally with my friend, but I just literally go into the Xbox marketplace and they have like a PC bundle where you spend $1 to get Game Pass, and every time I just do that, so I get to play the game because it's on Game Pass for $1. So it's like, in terms of video games, the only reason why I bought Harry Potter was because I'm a huge Harry Potter fan, and the reviews on the game were incredibly high, and I just had been seeing a lot of the memes around it about how good the game was, and I said, all right, I'll give it a shot. I'll buy the game, and so far I'm very happy to say that I enjoy the game more than just because I'm a Harry Potter fan. I was actually super hypercritical of the game because I was a Harry Potter fan and wasn't going to be lured into that. I'm not the type of person that can be bought in by nostalgia. That's the thing. It almost actually does the opposite effect. Like if you talk about the sequels for Star Wars, like when they tried with the I forgot what the episode name is, but episode 7, when they tried just literally winning you over by copy and pasting A New Hope and then hoping you're just going to run off the nostalgia, I was really just infuriated and thought it was such a bad showing of a new Star Wars movie because they're going to just literally try and throw old characters at us and hope that we're going to get nostalgic and love the movie even though it was absolute trash. Bro, super pissed I pre-ordered Harry Potter not knowing it would take 2 months for PS4. That's tough, buddy. Yeah, no, I got on PC. I'm super late to the stream. Happy Thursday. Marcus Parkus, good to see you, brother. Happy Thursday indeed. Time to write off chicken nuggets for a business expense. Hey, that is true, John. I can definitely do that. She better be an employee or else I'm telling the IRS, hey, I pay her in food and Pokemon product. Get out of here. Halloween packs for $15 is a good buy. Like $15 for 40. Eli, what is money? Money is this paper item that is supposedly backed by the US Treasury as a form of currency that is used to buy products. I don't think I've ever missed a payment. Scares the blank out of me. Doesn't say anything. Scares the out of me. Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. Can you recommend a credit card for a first timer? I don't plan on buying cards with it just to build credit. For me personally, my first time credit card that I got was it was easy for me to get it because I was a college student, but it was the college cashback card from Wells Fargo. To my knowledge, it is one of like few actual 2% cashback cards. I got it because it's great when you first start out. I think your limit is like $250 when you first get it, $300. So if you're someone just starting out, like it's got a really low limit. Obviously, over time as you spend more, you can always ask for credit increases, but it's going to give you 2% cash back on everything. I really enjoy it because every time I just make a business expense, I always know I'm getting 2% back on it. And as long as you have the discipline to just, pay it off, then you're going to be fine. So that's what I would say I recommend. And like I said before, it's a college card. So if you are just, in high school or you're in college, then usually it's pretty easy for you to apply for that if you don't have any credit history. Yeah, Eli, can I get a 2K mystery box? Tyrone, I know you're probably trolling because you're always trolling. But if you are serious, I can easily make you a really cool 2K mystery box if you want me to do that. And I can go all out and like bundle it with like black and white era packs, diamond and pearl era packs, Sun and Moon era, XY era. Like I can make it a whole thing if you actually want me to do that. But you're probably kidding. But if you weren't, I could totally do that for you. Bro, I live on like $1,300 a month. Gotta love Iowa. Yeah, Iowa's pretty cheap. My expenses were like $1,800 in Cypress, California, which is a very expensive place, at least for rent. See, and that's the thing, man, is if you're living, like I said before, in California, totally different situation. California is in a freaking bubble of its own, along with places like New York, and where I'm originally from in Oregon, right? Even that place is extremely expensive, right? Because, I mean, let's be honest here. For the most part, general cost of living is pretty expensive in most places. But, I mean, if you're not living in those big cities, I feel like $3,000 is still enough to get by and have some money left over. At least how I budgeted out both when I was in Oregon and in Arizona. And like I said before, Phoenix, living right outside of Phoenix in Gilbert or Chandler or Mesa, like they're nice areas. It's not like Podunk, like they're really nice areas. I don't know. And we're not even talking about Florida. We're not even talking about the Midwest, right? Like that's way cheaper for monthly expenses. California boys in those comments for sure. That's what I gotta say, man. Nowadays, if you're single with no den or kids, you're doing good, my friend. Yeah, it's only once you say you are you have kids where that equation changes completely. Obviously, if you had kids, you're like, whoa, that's super expensive. But at the same time, you can get child support from the government. So it's one of those things where if you're making $3,000 off a salary and then you're getting child support, then that usually should cover you. And what's crazy is people are probably also going to flame me for this by saying, oh, child support isn't enough for kids. I can tell you it is because I had a great aunt that lived 50 years of her life never having worked a single job because she purposely had kids so that she never had to work because she lived off of child support and didn't get a job until she was in her late 70s because she was bored with her life and needed purpose. But she literally just had kids to have money and was an absolute terrible mom. And I don't want to get into it, but yeah, she's from Ohio. Podunk, Ohio. So if that isn't stereotypical, but yeah, no, you can definitely do it. But you just got to know the programs, obviously. Any thoughts on keeping V collection boxes sealed, good or not? Depends on the V collection box. One, like Arceus V figure box, love it, keep it sealed. But if you're talking about like an Electrode V box, I mean, it's not really worth much. You could keep it sealed, but you got to ask yourself for how cheap it is and how much storage you're wasting with keeping that sealed. It's kind of tough, you know, because you can easily go have a booster box and you can go store that, and it's going to take up way less room, and it's going to cost you way more for the amount of space it's taking up, right? That's another thing you always got to take into consideration, right? When it comes to your investing and storing a product, if I can go store 6 V boxes, right? Hypothetically, let's say it's a Electrode V box and I'm paying $12.50 per, or $15 if you're not paying wholesale. You're looking at, okay, $90 for a case, right? 12 by 12 by 8. But you could also be storing a booster box, which is roughly around the same price, and it's going to take up 6 by 6 by 4 worth of space, or 6 by 4 by 4. Like, that's taking up way less space, which is where it becomes expensive, you know. What's up, C-Man? Good to see you here. Whoa. Minnesota is lit, Eli. Hey, I didn't say anything's wrong with Minnesota. My business partner's dream is actually to live in Minnesota. He's like, bro, I already have the property picked out. He's like, it's $180,000, 1,900 square feet, 20 acres. I'm like, where the frick is that? He's like, it's in the middle of nowhere, but that's what I want because I like the middle of nowhere in the cold. It's so funny. He's such a funny guy. but yeah, man, he loves Minnesota. Hey, nothing against Minnesota, man. I was paying $1,380 mortgage payments. Dang, dude, that's insane. That's cheap. I mean, obviously, to be fair, times have changed. Like, things have drastically become more expensive with inflation and with just the housing market. Like, totally understand, right? And obviously, it's been outpaced by general salary has been drastically outpaced by inflation too. So there's no denying things have gotten more expensive. Like, no denying whatsoever. But that doesn't mean that also the general American has increased their amount of spending, because there's a reason why we're having so much inflation. It's when the circulating supply the money spent outpaces the supply, right? That's what general inflation is, right? When you have too few goods and too much money, then obviously the value of money goes down because the supplies, being so scarce, tend to go up higher in value. That's just general supply-demand economic theory. Yeah, but if you live in Arizona, your local team... I know, and the Arizona Cardinals are probably going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL this year. Yeah, it's a rough one, buddy. Like, I'm not even kidding you. Straight up, first ever NFL game I've ever seen. I went to the Cardinals game. It was Arizona versus the Chiefs. I was like, yeah, this is going to be a good game. Good game. Let's do this, baby. Smoked. It was like 36-6 at halftime. We ended up walking out and leaving by the third quarter. It was so depressing. It was cool. Cool experience, but dang, dude. Eli, you're iffy on that. You can get a nice 2,000 square foot 2-story home in AZ for 400, 550K range. 600, 700 would be an extremely nice home in Arizona. Still high in my mind. Let me rephrase that, John, just to make it easier for you to understand where it's coming from. Maricopa County. That's what I was referencing. Obviously, when you're talking about Maricopa County, that changes it, because here's the deal. Where I live in Gilbert, right? The house we're renting, it's 1,800 square feet. It's in a really nice location. It's really old. Like, it was not built in the 2000s, or if it was, it is not renovated whatsoever. So you have to take that into consideration. But it's, if it were to be renovated, it's probably in that higher end 500 to 550-ish range, right? For a nice 2,000 square foot, right? Now, if you go to Scottsdale, which is in Maricopa County, you're going to find this exact type of property for roughly, if it were to be renovated, $700,000 to $800,000. So I'm taking Maricopa County into consideration when talking about that, because Gilbert, Chandler, Mesa is much, much cheaper than if you're going closer into Phoenix, and more Scottsdale / North Scottsdale, because that kind of throws it off drastically. Because when we were first moving here, it was like, all right, where are we going to rent, right? All right, if I were to buy, where are we going to buy? And just the housing prices in Scottsdale were ridiculous. It was like not even a question, right? So I probably should have said that, but generally speaking, I wasn't assuming I was gonna have to go so in depth for my explanation, so I apologize. But yeah, I was referring to predominantly within the Maricopa County area, so which I actually have a bunch of statistics on. That's where I was getting my numbers. So so off the statistic website for economic research, this is where I get my general statistics on general housing price mediums versus average listings. So obviously, if you go off of in the Maricopa County area, you're talking about prices being roughly around the range that you gave, right? But once you talk about the actual average of listing prices, then you're going to talk closer to that $700,000. But once again, those averages are drastically skewed by the fact that most homes in the Scottsdale area are roughly around that $700,000 plus range. So from my just general personal experience, taking kind of the general average listing, general median listing, that's where I got that kind of general price range of, hey, if you're looking for a home, like a family home of 2,500 plus square feet, you're probably going to be spending in that $650 range. But yeah, if you are looking for in that 450, 550 range for something sub 2,000 square feet, you can find that in this area, but not in Scottsdale or any of the more northern expensive places in Maricopa County. But yeah, because I watch housing prices religiously in my area, because I do think they're going to have to come down in the next year or so with stagflation on the way. Yeah, California harsh. Over here in San Diego, rent for a studio is more than that's rough, dude. I think kids with kids is the biggest issue now. I see it a lot in Texas. Well, it's interesting, iFOMO. If you talk about general statistics when it comes to kids, they're saying that specifically my generation and the millennial generation, there's a continued decrease in the amount of individuals that are actually having kids. And however, the people that do have kids, there is actually a higher rate of single parenthood, right? The rate of divorce has gone down, but the rate of single parenthood has gone up. But the rate of children being had has also gone up. It's very interesting when you follow those statistics, but we won't get into it because that's a whole other subject to discuss. If you check your savings account, there's mostly 0.01 monthly nowadays. What is that in reference to, Tom? What was that in reference to? Remember, guys, it's okay to live with your parents. LOL, huge money saved. Yeah, there ain't no shame in living with your parents, man. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. I mean, like, it's the funniest thing, too. It's such an American cultural type thing. Like, I've got some buddies that, whether they be from a religious background or whether they be from a different cultural background, where, a good example, one of my good buddies, he's Hawaiian. He lives with his grandparents, his parents live with their grandparents, and they all live under one household, right? One of my exes, who came from a religious household, their whole family lives together, right? And it's just like kind of a cultural thing to be more family oriented, right? It's like kind of this weird westernized thing where it's like, all right, once you're 18 years old, time to leave, which obviously they say that the average American at this point now doesn't leave home until 25. It used to be 18, but it's gone up since things have gotten so much more expensive. But yeah, I mean, there's no shame in living at home, saving money while you're going off to college or just trying to save up now that you have a job. And that's only on the savings account. That's not even a good place to store cash. Inflation will kill you. Inflation will definitely be a killer. I like to blow 70% of my income on leased vehicles to flex, Victor. Hey, Victor, you sound like an influencer on Instagram, my guy. About to sell Pokemon Scarlet and Violet Switch just because I haven't played in a couple weeks. Dang, man. That's a bummer. I mean, I always like to keep it around. I always feel like I regret selling games like that because I always end up coming back and buying it. If I ever made an Elder Wand, so would you twist it? That sounds so sus. If I was single, I'd definitely be with my parents. So cheap. Yep, exactly. I'm engaged to be married. Living with my parents when I'm married. You know, it's something I could definitely see in the future, but like, I don't know. My fiance would probably kill me. It would probably make more sense if they were to live nearby, not necessarily the same household. If they had a Pokemon cashback credit card, it might be popular. It might just bankrupt that credit card company. Discover is great as well. There's a sign up every quarter with 5% cashback over certain expenses. Outside of those expenses, it's 1% low limit. About to build up my credit card to ruin it on 151 in Larcana. There you go, buddy. Don't ruin that credit. Come on. Their debit cards also provide cash back, which is rare. That is rare. 3K a month, is this for a single person? Yes, 3K for a single person. Poke Collector J says, working 70 hours a week over a bunch of kids running in my house. I have one and he has the energy of 1,000 suns. That is so true. Oh my gosh. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I am excited to have kids. I am very, very much excited to have kids. I love kids. I am so enthusiastic about being a father one day. I'm really stoked about that. However, with that being said, I understand the expenses that kids are, and it is not for everyone. And it's something that obviously, you know, it's smart to plan it out. You know, and typically for the kid, it's also best as well, because being in a loving household where you've got parents that are going to be able to financially support you is going to not only breed a better environment for the child, but also a healthier parent relationship. But that's just from my own personal experience, right? I was very lucky. I was very blessed. I am not afraid to say that I was privileged to have two parents that loved me as well as loved each other. This is true with the surviving child support. Perspective on point. Thank you. Where the Wisco peeps. Any ideas of sales or deals for Pokemon Day? I can't tell you honestly if I know of any. People say they like the cold and snow until it actually is snow and cold. Well, he is originally from North Dakota, so for him, he is experiencing the cold, and he already knows what it's like. And now, when he opened the shop, when he opened his original shop, his vape shop that he owned in Oregon, and then opened the game store with me in Oregon, it gets to as cold as low single digits to negative degrees. When I went and visited the shop back in, God, when did I visit? Was it in January? Yeah, end of January. It got down to -3 degrees at night. It was freezing. So it's a cold area. So, and he's lived in the cold his entire life, so that's why he loves it. Me, on the other hand, hate it. Hate the cold. Hate the cold. Can I handle it? Yeah, I can. But I just hate it because I feel like there's just so much less you can do. What does everyone think about the artwork so far for Scarlet and Violet? I actually really think that the art designs for the set itself look really cool. I wish my parents would let me back in the house. I should have never left. I'm sorry, FOMO. I don't know what that's related to, but I'm sorry, my guy. I feel like some people aren't having kids because more people are realizing they shouldn't be parents. Honestly, I think it has less to do with that. Obviously, we're kind of getting off topic here, but to be quite fair, this whole discussion today has been off topic, so I might as well just go in and rant about this if you want to get into my overall philosophy when it comes to digesting the culture. In my personal opinion, I think that people nowadays have become more entitled and more selfish. And I feel as if because of that, there's a lack of personal responsibility in our generation. When you have an app that can have anything delivered to you at the touch of a finger, whether that be, hey, let me just order off of Amazon. I don't need to go anywhere. Hey, let me just Uber Eats my food. Hey, let me just have Walmart Plus send me my groceries. When you have everything that you could ever want at the top of your finger. Hey, do I want to go out and have to go meet someone somewhere? Nah, I've got Tinder. I can just swipe until I find someone. Is that successful? For most people, not. But the point still remains. We're living in an instant gratification culture where everything is at the touch of a finger. Everything is right in front of you. And it is very seamless. It is very given to you. I want the newest iPhone. We're going to get the newest iPhone with the new special deal that's being held at Verizon. Just trade in your new phone, you'll get the next new thing. I want the newest console. I want the newest car. I want the newest. And then, of course, there's always going to be that reflection on the culture within, social media, people showing off the lavish things they have, whether it's actually they afford it or not, or whether they're just showing that they can afford it. That's completely two different things. But it's enveloped a culture where people are a lot more self-centered, they're a lot more entitled, and they feel as if they should be owed or given a certain thing in society. With that being said, when it comes to having kids, it is very selfless. It is no longer about you. It is now about the kid. You are now considering that when becoming a parent. Everything now centers and revolves around them. If I'm being honest, I think most people selfishly don't like the idea of having responsibility of another individual. And I think that, personally speaking, that is why a lot of people aren't having kids, because they are just not responsible enough individuals of themselves, let alone responsible enough to have kids on their own. That's just kind of where I am with that. But yeah, there's my rant on just general society and where we are socially speaking. Tom Piss says, remember in WALL-E when everyone was heavy and of self-propelled ships staring at the screen, ordering everything? It is ironic that it is a self-fulfilling prophecy that WALL-E has become. Yeah, I definitely remember that. I mean, look at the obesity rate in the United States. 36%, I think is what it is, right? It's crazy, man. I agree. My son was the best thing that happened to me. Maybe not my bank account, but I wouldn't change it for the world. Yeah, and that's exactly what my mom said. My mom was, when she first found out that she was having me, and my parents didn't plan me, right? I was not planned. Thankfully, my parents were already planning on getting married, but my mom was like freaking out when she had me. She's like, oh my God, I'm pregnant. I'm going to have a kid. I don't want to be a mom. Frick being a mom. That sounds terrible. Blah, blah, blah. Long story short, my mom had me and she told me that it completely changed her life entirely, and it just kind of drew a new perspective on how she looked at things in life. And it just took her whole value system and her morality system and it flipped it entirely. And that's something that I felt from my mother, I felt was very inspiring. And just kind of looking the way in which my parents raised me, I'm very inspired by that as well, because I think they did an amazing job. Obviously, they have their flaws, but everyone has their own flaws as parenting, right? You can only do the best you can do. Kind of like when I become a parent, I hope to be like them in that regard. But yeah, so it's definitely one of those things where when it comes to, having a kid, it really just, the concept of it just sounds like it really does, from the discussions I've had with parents themselves, it really just changes your world, and you feel like you live a more fulfilled life because of that. But yeah, they're expensive. I'm super excited to have kids. Was raised with a lot of family values. Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. Very much family values, very, very family oriented. And I love that. I honestly love that. And I feel that's what society is missing the most. I feel like family values and the nuclear family is being kind of attacked, more or less, right? You're not seeing that be something important. There's less of an emphasis on relying on community and family and more of an emphasis on relying on big government. And that's where I feel like you're starting to see that disconnect in society, right? You're not seeing that quite as often, where individuals can go to their local community and ask for help on things. Instead, people are being reliant on Social Security. People are being reliant on welfare. People are being reliant on child support. Why is it that government is now a replace of a parent? You know what I mean? Like, and that's the thing that kind of is the scariest, is when it comes to kids and the family value, right? Having a 2-parent household, statistically, like if you look at every statistic known to man, it just drastically tells you that if you have a 2-parent household, you're vastly going to be, like, on average, more successful in life. You're going to perform better in school. You're going to perform better financially. Like, just the general statistics, if you go look at it and break it down, you're just going to have a far greater edge than most people. And so when you have a government that says you don't need a man or you don't need a woman and you can be self-independent, let the government take care of you with childcare, it kind of makes it so that it destroys that, and the children end up suffering because of that, Like it's just kind of sad to see that, And I feel like there's kind of that degradation in culture as well, where you're seeing genders specifically fighting against one another, right? Like, I mean, just go to social media. Like, just hop on Instagram, hop on Twitter. It's literally just, I hate women, I hate men. It's just sad. Like, it's just kind of like people are just at each other's throats, and it's kind of toxic, and it shouldn't be that way, right? It should be something where we appreciate one another and we see value for one another and realize that we do need one another, right? Like my fiance, I value her in so many different ways that I could never imagine being able to replace because of what she brings to the table. And same concept, other way around for what I'm able to bring to the table. But stop investing in Pokemon and work on making babies. That's the takeaway here. Yeah, right. Invest in that's terrible. Invest in child support. That's awful, dude. Is opening Pokemon boxes the answer for a new story to get inventory? Buying collections is probably 10 times better, right? That's a great question, actually, Jim, to kind of bring it back on topic for Pokemon, because I went a little bit off topic, but you know how this is, guys. You know how these days are. When it comes to getting inventory from a store, for a lot of stores, when it's a new release, because you can get product early, they tend to open product so that they can sell it for the premium of whatever the highest market price is, right? So after a set has been released and the prices are no longer at the premium, it's very much advised against to open it. I mean, it's still a risk, obviously, opening it prior to, but the idea being that you're going to get that premium on release day for selling off the singles, so you're going to have more of a chance to make your money back. But if it's not a new set release, with the example I gave, yes, buying collections is going to be your general best bet when it comes to having money and saving money, and trying to have the greatest flip, I should say, when creating a singles inventory. The side hustle having kids, right? You only have kids if you open booster boxes ready for them to open. Bro, that's the dream, man. Like, I'm not even kidding you. Like, selfishly, I'm trying to, or selflessly, I'm not trying to be selfish when it comes to having kids, but the idea of having a kid that you can just be like, all right, son, I'm going to teach you everything you need to know about Pokemon and why it's going to become your entire life now. Like, the idea, like, that seems like such a cool concept, right? Or like someone who's a huge nerd, right? I love Star Wars. I want to show my kids the Star Wars trilogy. I want to show my kids Lord of the Rings. I want to show my kids Harry Potter. Like sharing all those things, it's like living through them. And you're like, all right, there's a difference between showing them these things, right? There's that balance of showing them these things and then purposely pushing something upon them, right? Having that balance between knowing, all right, I want to show my kid this in the hopes that they'll like it, but if they don't like it, not trying to force it upon them, Because let's say hypothetically, I'm like, yo, if my son, for example, I want to show them Pokemon, I hope they're into Pokemon, and they're like, nah, Dad, I'm not into Pokemon, sorry, I'm more of a Yu-Gi-Oh fan. And sadly, I will have to disown them. No, I'm just kidding. But like, it's like, sure, son, like you're into Yu-Gi-Oh, that's great. Let's pick up Yu-Gi-Oh together. Let's learn it together. Will I be sad? Yes, of course, because I'm a Pokemon guy. But like, it's my son. I'm going to support him. Or my daughter. It doesn't matter, right? Like, at the end of the day, having a mini-me is going to be awesome, right? I like to think about it that way, because that's how my dad was with me. You buy 2 of every product, 1 for you and 1 for your kids. What happens if it's a girl? I have no problem. Dude, I'm excited for both. That's what I want. I want a girl and a boy. Obviously, Eli's only having girls. No, I want both. Obviously, there's going to be certain things I can relate to with my daughters, and there's certain things I'm going to be able to relate with my sons. That's just how it's going to be, right? It's, whichever comes easiest, that's all I'm going to care about, right? Like, if I have a daughter that's more into football and my son is more into, dance class, then I'm going to relate way more with my freaking daughter than I am my son. He can go to his dance class. We're going to talk about football on Sundays. Like, like it doesn't matter. Like, I don't care, man. As long as there's a way I can connect with my kids, whatever that looks like, that's what's going to matter to me, right? And if it's something that, I initially don't have that interest in, that's okay. I can create a new interest and experience with them over something they enjoy, right? Like, for example, never really played tennis, never really played basketball. But if my son falls in love with basketball and they're not a big volleyball fan, they're not a big football fan, they're not a big, like, whatever sport it is that I'm used to, then sure, I'll learn to play, basketball, I'll learn to play tennis. I'll pick it up so that I can enjoy that experience with my kid. Doesn't matter, right? Yeah, I love my dad. He makes me open Cosmic Eclipse packs every day. I'm seeing more and more girls getting into TCGL and Pokemon in general with the new antagonist changing to female. How do you see the hobby moving as a whole? That is a scary question to ask, and I will explain why. I think it's a scary question to ask because the scary reality of it all is, and this is going to sound really creepy to say out loud, but on Instagram, right, you have your general feed, your feed of whatever content it is you like. For example, my feed, it's mainly Pokemon, it's mainly volleyball, and it's mainly funny jokes. That's what my feed is. However, Instagram has an algorithm, and with their algorithm, every so often it pushes out a female because it's most popular throughout the Instagram algorithm. 90% of the females on the algorithm that is being pushed out, they have a link tree and it has an OnlyFans. The thing that scares me the most about that is the fact of the matter that there's a difference between being a fan in the sphere and being someone that can take advantage of the popularity of the sphere and kind of push that in a way from a branding perspective where they're not really into it for the love of it, but they're into it because they know, hey, like a perfect example, this is the funniest thing. I can't remember, I don't know the name of the eBay page, but there's an eBay page of a girl who sells Pokemon product, and every single picture of the Pokemon product she's selling, she takes it and she puts it in between her boobs, and that's the picture of her eBay page. I'm not even kidding you. Someone dropped it in the Discord a while ago, and I was like, there's no way that's real. And it was insane to me. But yeah, like stuff like that, it's kind of scary. Like people, for example, like Ava, people like Ava are great for the hobby. I think that's awesome. I think someone who has a genuine passion for the hobby and someone that really cares about the hobby, I think that's awesome. I think that's super healthy. I think that's great. I think having more females in spaces that are predominantly geared towards men, like statistically, right? My channels, 97% are men, 3% are female. I would love to get that number up, right? That'd be awesome. That's great. I think having more females in the sphere is great, right? People like Chloe, I think that's great too, right? Both females that are driven towards entrepreneurship, that are very smart, that are like-minded when it comes to any of the other counterparts, male counterparts within the sphere, right? However, my fear, and this just isn't just for Pokemon, this is just in general, when you look at like Twitch is a perfect example. If you look at just the cesspool of individuals when it comes to Twitch streamers that act as if they're into gaming, when in reality they're not really into gaming and they're more or less just interested in pushing their OnlyFans or whatever it is they're trying to sell to simps that they know they're going to be able to sell. I mean, call me crazy, but I think bathtub streams are the stupidest thing in my entire life, and I cannot believe that they've become a thing, right? Like, obviously, if men are going to be dumb enough, or women, whoever pays for that, I don't care, but I'm presuming predominantly men are dumb enough to pay for that. I mean, free will, man. This is a free country. You can do whatever you want, but I mean, it's just like, come on, man. Like, this is not it. I don't know, man. That's crazy maybe that's crazy to say. Maybe I'm crazy for saying that, but I don't know, man. I've tried having my fiance on the stream. I've always wanted to have her on because I've gotten her into Pokemon. I think she'd do, I think it'd be fun to have her on, but she doesn't have the personality for it, right? But yeah, no, it's interesting. I don't know. Maybe like I said before, maybe I'm wrong for saying this, but someone can correct me or give their input on that. I know MTG has a site that gives EV of booster boxes. Does Pokemon have one? What is an EV of a booster box? Like, it gives you like a kind of like a image display of what it looks like. I wouldn't see a shift to women, but more balanced evenly. Well, honestly, if you're talking about, this is just kind of my personal opinion, if you do see more women coming into the hobby, I think it's, and I could be wrong on this, I don't think it's going to show a drastic drastic demographic change. You could see a slight increase in percentage in women coming into the hobby in terms of like general followers, not those that are actually content creators. I think female content creators will be more predominant, but I don't see a ton of women bringing more women into the hobby. I see more women bringing in more men into the hobby because men are simps. There's a lot of simps these days. Fun fact, there's no age requirement to be added onto an existing credit card. Add a newborn to your credit card at 18 years at 18 over 775 credit score by today's metric. That is interesting, man. Is that true? I didn't know that. I hate seeing the buy me coffee on a guy in girls link tree. Isn't that crazy, man? Isn't that so sad to see? Which set is better to hold? Lost Origin, Silver Tempest. I know Silver Tempest is a Lugia, but I think Lost Origin is a better set. You just answer your question in and of itself, Vang. Silver Tempest has the Lugia. It's going to perform better. But Lost Origin is a better set overall. But it doesn't matter because Lost Origin doesn't have a Lugia, so Silver Tempest will perform better. You should hire an employee like that just to be diverse. I mean, for me, I am not someone that's of the belief of diversity hire. I am of the belief that you prove your worth based on how you are as an employee. I don't give a crap what you are, right? You could be white, you could be black, you could be Asian, you could be, female, you could be male, you could be Zer. I don't care what your pronouns is. I don't care what your gender is. I don't care what your skin color is. At the end of the day, are you a good employee? Are you not a good employee? You're a good employee? Great, I'm going to hire you. You're a bad employee, but you're diverse? Still not going to hire you. You're a good employee, you're diverse? I'm going to hire you. I don't care. I think that is how it should go. I think let your work ethic and let who you are as an employee prove for itself, and I think that should realistically only be the determining factor in how you're hired, right? That's just kind of my stance on it, right? You should hire a guy to have his shirt off and put a cart on his chest to sell. I know just the guy for that, Tom. It's your dad. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, got him. I'm just kidding. Using them gazongas to push cards. Bro, it's wild that people do that. Basically, how much on average the box is worth with cards values and it averaged out. Jim, I am actually looking into creating an algorithm like that in the future. We're actually looking at doing that. We're going to, this is behind the scenes. We're not there yet, but we're looking at creating a statistical database, which is going to allow you to input your general polls that you got from a booster box. And it's going to tell you how you performed on average compared to what the estimated average value per booster box is. But that's something we're working on behind the scenes. I think that would actually be really cool if they did something like that, but they're not. So we're going to try and see if we can do it ourselves. I'm purchasing an estimating manager for a home builder and new to Pokemon. Sourcing the Pokemon product I want to give me flashbacks to sourcing windows during COVID lockdowns. Isn't it weird, man? Pokemon's similar to a lot of things, man. It's like kind of like how I compare Pokemon to stocks and cryptos and stuff. It's weird to think about how similar Pokemon is to a lot of things, especially when it comes to the distribution line. Tom Fizz, haha, my dad volunteered himself. That's so funny. Oh my gosh. My buddy was bent out of shape because I traded my Lugia and Lilligant Altart for a pre-release Houndoom. Do you think it was a good trade? Because I traded my Lugia and Altart for a pre-release Houndoom. Well, let's take a look. Because I have absolutely no idea what the pre-release Houndoom looks like. Is it the Dark Houndoom from... is it this Houndoom? This one right here? The Nintendo promo? Also, if this was the one, what is the condition of the card? But if it is not the one, then give me a number that I can go off of, obviously. Bro, how can I get into your wholesale tier? I'll pay extra. So here's my current stance on the wholesale tier card house. I've said this before, I'll say it again. Here's the plan. Coming to either a new restock of a ton of product, or whenever we get word of pre-orders being ready to be taken for 151. So whichever comes first, right? I will open 50 more slots for the wholesale program. 25 will be at that $75 price point. 25 will be at the $100 price point. That is where I am in terms of how I'm going to be adding more spots, right? So initially it'll be drop the first 25 at $75, wouldn't be surprised if that sold out immediately, and then dropped another 25 at the $100 price point. Also wouldn't be surprised if that sold out immediately. But the idea is that we're going to continuously just kind of scale the pricing until we kind of find that demand equilibrium point, and then we just add on from there, right? Because I was told $50 was way too cheap. And I keep having people messaging me saying, hey, Eli, how do I get into the program? If you give me first dibs, I'll pay $150 a month. And I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. People are willing to pay $150 a month. However, with that being said, I don't want to be the guy that shows favoritism. I want to try and be as fair as I can to give everyone an opportunity. So I think scaling the price is just what makes the most sense. Not only does it incentivize people that are in lower price tiers, like those in the $50 tier, to stay, because then they're going to obviously not ever have to worry about prices increasing on them because they're going to stay loyal to the tier, but they're also going to get more of a what's the word I'm looking for? A grandfather pricing, right? And it's going to continuously look that way, right? So let's say you get in, you're one of the first 25 people to get in the $75 price point. Well, guess what? You know that you made it in at the $75 price point, you're going to stick to the $75 price point. And when we open the $100 price point, you're not going to have to worry about the prices increasing on you, because it's only going to be those that get in the $100 price point. Hey, you get into the $100 price point, guess what? Next price is going to be $125, then $150, then one, like that. It's just going to kind of scale as the demand is as high as it is, right? Because the value is worth it, right? The value for what you're getting out of it is well worth it. And the general pricing that I originally gave of $50 was one that I gave, and now looking back on it, was extremely undervalued for what the market is now offering me. But yeah, I'm just trying to structure it in a way that I think can incentivize people to both stay loyal, but also feel like they're getting the most out of it because they're able to get in at a price point before it continuously increases. I'm gonna be open, honest, and transparent about how that's working. Babe cake. So yeah, so to answer your question, whichever comes first, if we get a huge resupply, then you can expect the tiers to open up. If we don't get a huge resupply, then I'm just gonna wait till I start taking pre-orders for 151, then I'll add the new slots. Expectations sometimes probably mid to end of March is when that will happen. How can you get notified when it opens up? I will, whichever my most recent video is, I will make that announcement on the most recent video, and then I will also make an announcement about it to everyone that's a part of the Discord. So keep your ats open if you are on the part of the Discord community. That's why I always recommend people joining the Discord, because I do give a lot of notifications for stuff like that all the time. But yeah, that's just kind of where I am right now at this moment in time. Babe Cake says, yes, near mint, super clean. Once I get enough cards, going to send it in. Well, here's the deal. The Lugia, let's take a look at the Lugia. Just making sure I understand this. My bunny was man out of shape because I traded him my Lugia and Lilligant Altar. Just so I'm understanding this, babe. Oh, you're right. Thank you, Poke Department Store. This is the last couple of questions because I did say I have to cut off at 3:30, so I don't want to be late. So I'm going to wrap it up here. Yeah, we've got a couple minutes left. But yeah, Babe Cakes. Just double checking before we kind of wrap things up. Is it Lugia Old Art? Just making sure. I'm pretty certain it is. But let's take a look at Lugia Alternate Art and just see what the price of that is at. It's been a while since I've checked. I don't think it's dropped too much, but I could be wrong. So let's find out. I think it's still above $200. No, it's below 200. There you go. So here's where we are with the condition of the Lugia, right? It is selling for roughly around $200. Okay, so it is basically at 200, just slightly below. So it's roughly around $200. Now we go to the Lilligant, which is a part of Astral Radiance. The value of the Lilligant in Astral Radiance, it is where is it? Where's the Lilligant? The frick? Is it on the first page and I just missed it? Oh, there it is. $20 basically, right? Hey, Tyrone knows the answer by liking, subscribing, and hit that notification bell. That's how you stay up to date. I mean, he's not wrong. If I'm going to make the first time I'm going to let people know we're opening more slots is going to be on the newest YouTube video, then yeah, liking, subscribing, and watching the video to stay up to date will definitely help you in it. Okay, so we're going to say roughly around $220 worth of value, right? is what we're gonna assume for Babe Cakes. And then you've got the Houndoom pre-release card, right? So obviously the near mint, according to Yeti, is $200. But with that being said, that's, I mean, we honestly can't say if that's truly accurate or not, right? So let's go and see what eBay is telling us. eBay is telling us that in the Pop 10 condition, this is if a Pop 10, right? I mean, they're not the Pop 10, sorry. That's in the PSA 10 condition. I mean, here's the thing with the value of the card like this. You're paying $220 roughly for the value of the card, right? You're basically saying to yourself, do you think it can get a 9? Right? Or do you think it can get a 10? Because if it gets a 9 or a 10, then obviously it was a great trade for you. But unless you get an 8 or a 7, because this is such a scarce item, odds are he probably won the trade. So I don't know why he's getting sour grapes over it. Because if you look at the card, it most recently sold in light played to near mint condition. Let's look and see what the actual true condition is of the card. We can see that the card's true condition is, I mean, let's see what the back is. Yeah, that's probably on the low end of near mint, high end light played, right? So we'll say this is recent. We'll say this is at like a 6 condition, right? That's what we're going to say, because we can't really determine what the scratches are, right? But it looks kind of more on a 6-7 line. If you're saying you're paying around 6-7, you know, for $100, boy, if he's giving you an 8 or a 9, then you're probably closer to paying 150 to 175. So I think there's an argument to be made that you overpaid depending upon the condition of the card. Unless that thing is in like the 10 of 10, which even then you're still taking a statistical risk. I think that it's more than fair. If not, he's slightly winning the trade. That's what I would say. So I don't know why he's bent out of shape in terms of the trade if you are trading the Alt Art Lugia as well as trading the Alt Art Lilligant. But alrighty, guys. I said I was going to wrap it up a little bit earlier today. I am now going to do that. But wanted to thank everyone so much for stopping by. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the stream, got something out of it. Sorry it wasn't fully focused on Pokemon. But hey, people were asking questions about taxes, and we got into a little bit of a discussion about general value. So hopefully it is something that you got out of it. If not, I apologize, and hopefully it'll be better the next stream. But as far as it goes, that is all for today. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure if you want to enter into our weekly giveaways, leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. But until then, I will see you